Welcome to our overview and how to play video for Scalar Core. Scalar Core is a modern tactical board game, inspired by the timeless logic of classic tabletop games. It is almost entirely handmade and features 27 artisan dice, an integrated dice tray, and a resin hex board. The goal of the game is super clear. The first to claim 3 control tokens wins. The control tokens are those shiny resin pieces we are taking now off the lid. Besides keeping your gorgeous dice safe, this lid actually serves as a built-in dice tray. Because it locks right onto the board using a slick bayonet system, it turns the whole game into a compact package you can carry around with ease. We craft all of those components ourselves, and because of how labor-intensive that is, this first run is strictly limited to 500 units. To grab a control token, you need to have 4 of your units sitting in the control zone right at the start of your turn. Our units are these glorious artisan dice, 12 for each player. To reach that center, you'll roll and deploy, maneuver across the grid, and battle for absolute dominion over the control zone. But remember, for most of the game, you're limited to just 1 action per turn. There are also 3 additional artisan dice included. The ones that power our unique game mechanics, which are the 2 battle dice, and of course, the Scalar Core itself. Whenever someone scores a control token, this bad boy gets rolled, and it literally changes the game for everyone. This board also features 2 faces, so whether you prefer a quicker pace or the ultimate experience, the choice is yours. And even though we've prepared those awesome quick reference cards that explain almost everything, you'll probably want to keep the rulebook handy for your first few games, because those battle combinations can get wild. Let's dive straight into the gameplay now, and I'll explain more of how it all works as we go. To decide who goes first, you can both roll a d6 or another matching dice of your choosing. The higher roll starts first. The blue player rolled a 4, and the violet die with the logo counts as a 1, so blue gets to go first. Plus, if you're happy with your initial roll, you can directly deploy that die. The first 4 hexes on your side of the board are your deployment zone, and you can only place newly rolled dice here. If you have all of those slots occupied, you won't be able to deploy more dice until you clear a spot. The D4s and D6 are what we call our light units. They might not pack the biggest punch in a battle, but they make up for it with a great strategic advantage. They can actually move 2 hexes on a single turn. Right now, both sides are playing a bit of a positioning game, trying to set up the board to their advantage. The main goal here is to group up and get as many dice into play as possible, building up their strength for the big clashes that are bound to happen just a few turns from now. If you don't like a particular roll, you always have the option to skip deploying that die and save it in your reserve for later. And it's a great way to try again for a better number, but remember, it does cost you your action for the turn. And while the violet team is having a bit of a tough time getting a decent board set up, blue just managed to roll a perfect 6 out of 6. Even though there are plenty of dice rolls and a fair amount of randomness, there's still a ton of strategic agency involved. You constantly have important decisions to make, whether they end up being good or bad, and it means you can always try out completely fresh strategies with every single game you play. And I think Violet is just trying to get all her bad luck out of the way right at the start of the game. Look at that, a 1 on a D20. That is definitely going to be a skip. As you can see, the control zone only has 6 hexes available for your dice to sit on. And you'll need to get 4 of your dice in there to successfully claim a token. So the 2 players will really have to fight for who gets to claim that space. Let's take a look at how this first battle actually plays out. Whenever an attack is declared, the face values of the attacker and defender are compared against each other. And in addition to that, both players roll their battle dice at the exact same time. The battle dice provide flat stat boosts, and we also have 5 unique actions on them. This one right here is the evade action. It basically allows you to escape the battle completely, as long as there's a free adjacent hex you can move your die into. In this instance, Violet is going to have to retreat because her face value is only a 3 and the blue die has a 4. The stat boosts and the effects only persist during the battle phase. let's take a look at the second battle for this duel. The violet player rolled evade again, but the blue one has the swap effect activated. With the values completely turned around, violet is now up to a 6, and blue is down to a 4. This kind of effect can swing both ways, so you really have to time your attacks carefully and always be ready for the unexpected. We're shifting into high gear as the battle for the center grid tightens. Scalar Core rounds generally wrap up in 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the flow of the match and how fast you push the action. Whether you prefer a fast-paced, aggressive match or a slow, calculated battle, the game perfectly accommodates both styles. And a standard best-of-3 match takes around an hour to complete, and win or lose, it absolutely leaves you wanting to try out a fresh strategy the next time you play. Violet actually managed to push in and hold 4 units right there in the control zone. With that control token in hand, she's that much closer to winning. But now it's time for her to roll the Scalar Core to see what kind of global effect or twist gets triggered next. And the core has landed on momentum. This is going to speed up the pace considerably because players can now take 2 actions per turn instead of just 1. They're free to pick any 2 actions out of the 3 available options. And yes, they can even choose to perform the exact same action twice. Once you've rolled the core, you just continue your turn like normal. And now, thanks to that momentum effect, Violet gets to deploy 2 dice instead of just 1. Blue definitely notices that heavy board presence and immediately responds by declaring an attack. Let's see how this one plays out. Oh my goodness, look at that battle dice roll. A double self-destruct. Both of their units are completely vaporized in a massive explosion. Blue's plan to thin out Violet's unit count worked perfectly, but it cost him his own die in the process. If you want to avoid getting wiped out by an opponent's self-destruct, you'll need to roll either an evade or land on indestructible. Violet has just shifted 2 of her units toward the control zone, while Blue is getting ready to deploy a new die since his presence on the board is looking pretty slim right now. He keeps getting those perfect rolls, but it looks like the battle dice odds are definitely leaning in Violet's favor today. Let's check this out as another attack is declared. Blue landed on double power, which doubles the strength of your attacking die, but Violet rolled a swap. And since swap always resolves at the very end, she actually steals that sweet boosted value for herself and keeps right on winning these battles. Because Violet attacked and won the battle, she gets to advance right into the defender's position, which puts 4 of her units back in the control zone. She is getting dangerously close to claiming her second token, and Blue definitely notices, so here comes another attack. Both sides ended up with flat stat boosts, but after doing the math, Blue walks away with his first battle win. He's marching forward as well, but with only 3 dice deployed on the board, he's going to have to work a lot harder if he wants to even things out. And you can just feel the tension building. These 2 are absolutely showing no mercy out there, and right on cue, another attack is declared. Blue pulls off another double power, but Violet answers with indestructible. It shields her from the incoming damage, resulting in a draw. Let's skip ahead and speed things up once again. Coming back to the action, the board state has shifted a bit, and we can see that Blue is up to 5 dice on the board now, but Violet has captured even more of his units. Blue goes on the offensive, though this first attack ends up in a tie. But since the momentum effect is still up and running, he wastes no time trying a second time. And that second try pays off. Violet vanishes from a self-destruct roll, but Blue has an evade available to bail him out. We're seeing some minor positioning tweaks here as both sides try to think a few steps ahead and predict what the next turns will bring. Blue manages to get 4 dice into the control zone. If he can hold on to this setup until his next turn, he'll finally get to claim a token. Did Violet completely miss that move, or does she have a totally different strategy up her sleeve? We're yet to see, but for now, that's a token for Blue. And don't forget, the Scalar Core needs to be rolled as well. And it landed on reversal. Both players will now have to flip their already deployed dice to their opposite values. His can absolutely hurt if you were waiting to deploy only big numbered units, but at the same time, it can be a total blessing if you are the underdog. That momentum effect has finally run its course. With that out of the picture, both sides are going to have to adjust back to the usual pace of 1 action per turn. And we can see Blue setting his last available unit, a perfect 10. Another attack is declared. With the rules back to normal, this will be Violet's one and only action for the turn. And it turns out her calculations were spot on, and she walks away victorious in this clash. Let's see a few more turns in real time. Another successful attack for the Violet player. And look at that, Blue is officially down to 4 units after that hit. This is pretty much his absolute last chance to pull off a win by claiming tokens. And it looks like he's going for a bit of a gamble here, trying to thin out Violet's defenses. And that hit completely backfires on him. If players can't claim any more tokens, the winner is decided by whoever has the most. And if it's a tie, it comes down to the last die standing. And that is exactly what Blue is pivoting to. He's going to have to hunt down the rest of Violet's dice if he wants to pull off a win in this scenario. That attack completely misses, but Violet is launching an immediate counterattack. We are definitely in the endgame now. Violet secures another successful attack. Honestly, Blue should probably concede at this point, but let's keep rolling. Blue fails to land his attack, and that is going to do it for this match. The moment Violet's turn kicks off, those 4 dice she has holding down the control zone will secure her the final token she needs to lock in the victory. This was just one game, but the variations are absolutely endless. So, what will your winning strategy be? We're launching on Gamefound very soon, so make sure to follow us over there right now to lock in your free followers gift. Thanks for watching.